The Stack, a podcast for IT and MSP professionals, with your host, David Papp.
Welcome to the MSP Stack Podcast. I'm your host, David Papp. We're joined today by Alton Johnson with Vonahi Security, based out of Atlanta. Alton runs an amazing cybersecurity business. Welcome, Alton.
I appreciate it.
Let's. I want to talk about automated pen testing, which is obviously what you guys do, and kind of the future of offensive security.
So, Vonahi Security, we are an automated network penetration testing company. It mostly stemmed from me as a penetration tester for the last 10 years. And I've always had a passion for hacking and coding. And, traditional pen test engagements are really nice and stuff like that. But as a pen tester, there's a lot of deficiencies that I noticed in our processes. So there's a lot of things that we were continuously repeating. Like reporting, for example, took up a lot of time, and even a lot of the activities that we were performing on the pen test. And so I started off with the process of just automating the reports, right? I got tired of kind of copying and pasting the icons back and forth and wanted to kind of create a process to automate that that workflow. So, I thought to myself, you know what? We're people are hiring us, paying a lot of money to hack and pen test their networks, and we're copying icons back and forth in a Word doc. Like something seems a little off to me. So
it's so basically,
true. Yeah. So like, why does that cost me 5 minutes? This needs to be automated. This is ridiculous. We're hacking people, but we're not automating copying icons. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So basically it started off with the report generation process, right? I wanted to trim down a lot of the time that I was doing, spending with reports and make it more efficient. And then that kind of trickled into automating a lot of the activities that I was performing as a pen tester. And it got to a point to where, I eventually started automating everything that I was doing, and no one on the team even noticed because the results were the same. I was just doing it a lot faster and no one else noticed. And that's kind of what trickled into the platform that we have now, which is called vPentest. And so we work with a lot of managed service providers to essentially allow them, empower them to be able to perform penetration testing and get the exact same quality as you would from a traditional pen testing company.
Excellent. It's kind of funny. We all love the pen testing aspect. I've done a lot myself over the years, and it's the reports that you cringe at, but yet the clients are paying for the report.
Exactly. And it's so painful as a pen tester because, like we love to hack.
Yes.
Right? The last thing we want to do is sit behind a computer and fiddle around with a Word document. You got executive summary, you've got charts, and then the QA person goes, "Hey, this should be a high, not a medium." And then you have to go back and fiddle around with numbers. And it's just like, what in the world is going on? We're in 2015, 2016 at the time. We should not be doing this.
Absolutely. So for those who are listening, when we say pen testing, it's a short for penetration testing. And there's different aspects to it. And I'm curious which ones you touch upon. Like there's the external pen test, which is from the internet's perspective, hitting a firewall and, the security perimeter. There's an internal pen test, as if you were you had access to an internal workstation or sublink plugged in the network, attached to the Wi-Fi network or whatever. And then there's yet another level of pen testing I call where you're in the know. You're a staff member. You've got access to passwords. You've got access to a VPN, whatever it is, backdoors, and you're trying to see how far you can go with that. So, which aspects do you touch on with your business?
Yeah, so Vonahi Security, we still offer traditional like manual web app testing, wireless testing, things like red team engagements, things like that. But the platform itself focuses mostly on network penetration testing, and that's both internal and external. So you could basically use the platform to perform an external penetration test, which would be to, just like you described, we have our infrastructure that tries to attack the IP addresses based on what the partner puts into the platform. And then on the internal side, we also perform, internal testing, and that just simply requires one single virtual machine to be deployed, which is typically a 30-minute process. And from that point on, we can perform internal testing.
Excellent. That's amazing. And then I've used your service. It's absolutely amazing, super easy. Love the reports and everything, which is the best part about it. Tell me though about what it means to you, the future of offensive security. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so honestly, automation is a big part of it, right? It's been an interesting process, just kind of taking a product to market and just kind of getting people's understanding of like what pen testing is currently today, what does automating pen testing mean to them, and I think the future of offensive security is going to be a lot of automated like tasks, right? There's more people that are coming out of school making scripts and stuff like that, and there's going to be more companies like ours that pop up that are just basically taking all of these like ideas and mindsets and tools and putting them all together to create a workflow that saves everybody time to ultimately provide more value for the people that are looking to improve their security. And it's been very interesting because like 5-10 years ago when you mentioned things like AI, it was just another buzzword, right? Like, oh, here we go, another one. Doesn't mean anything. But we have seen in the last few years that AI and automation actually does play a big part of like today, right? Like there's self-driving cars, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like pen testing and offensive security, there are more and more companies that need security, but there are less people every year to basically satisfy that demand. And so when you think about just where the world is going today, I mean, the answer to that is automation, right? We need to implement more and more automated processes that can tackle this huge demand without having to hunt and look for more and more people. We're going to be having babies trying to do pen testing because we don't want to do automation. So it's it's definitely going to be a heavily automated industry in the future when it comes to offensive security.
Absolutely. I'm kind of curious. This is just kind of a little side topic, but I get asked all the time by people about who they want to not just enter the IT field, but they're saying, you know what? I think I want to get into cybersecurity. What should I do? But then you're making this great comment here about how the future is getting very much into the automated aspect. But I'm thinking somebody still needs to know what they're talking about, understanding the forest from the trees and read those reports and action those items if there are holes and some vulnerabilities, and do that, we'll call it that risk management aspect of the report. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel that cybersecurity that is going to be a growing field in terms of the number of people who can enter it, but is it shifting what they're actually doing because the tools are becoming automated and you're not so much becoming the hacker, you're more interpreting the results and becoming a risk manager? Like, I'm just curious if that even makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And so there's two sides of it, right? So you have the consultants that are, they're really good at like, pen testing. That's still going to be a thing to basically understand how pen testing works, understand the technical stuff behind it. There's going to be your security researchers out there that are trying to find the next, vulnerability that hasn't been disclosed yet. So basically 0 days. So you have a lot of people that are also kind of getting into that phase as well, because, the traditional pen test engagements are fun, but like to your point, it's being more and more automated. So security researching and bug bounty, stuff like that is always like a fun, thing for people to do. So I definitely think that there's still going to be room for that. And then also too, rather than doing certain things like network pen testing, you may see more people kind of going towards like application testing and red teaming and, social engineering, things like that, to basically cover some other areas of cybersecurity that aren't necessarily as automated as like network penetration testing will be. But then also too, right? I think there's going to be a pretty big interesting shift when it comes to like coding, because I know a lot of pen testers out there that are really good, but they can't code, and that could potentially hurt them, right? So I think we'll see a shift because of more automation in the world and in offensive security, that we'll start to see some coding courses also get kind of integrated into cybersecurity, because I think that's going to really help shape the future of automation, right? Having people that know how to hack, having people that know how to code, and having that generation of people like build the next, wave of automation to keep the process moving.
You're listening to The Stack.
Thanks to cybersecurity leader ESET for sponsoring the podcast. ESET delivers award-winning cybersecurity technology to protect all aspects of your digital life with cutting-edge expertise and advanced machine learning to secure Windows, Mac OS, and Android devices. ESET bundles antivirus, anti-spyware, device control, web filtering, two-way firewall, anti-spam, remote management, and two-factor authentication solutions, and is a recognized leader in home and business cybersecurity solutions.
What's in your stack?
So I'm curious, when you have a company like this, you're trying to automate all this pen testing, you got these reports, you're keeping up with the 0-day stuff. Give me a description of the types of people that you employ in your company and the types of roles, because obviously you're trying to keep up with this stuff. What are they doing? Are they actively changing your algorithms and what you're looking for? Do you have things that are, is it very like antivirus like, where you've got signatures that you keep adding into a giant database that you're compiling? Or how much does the AI component play into this as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically our team, we're very efficient, right? Anything that we find that we have to do twice in the manual, sense, I mean, we want to automate that. And so typically for us, that's kind of like our approach, right? What are we doing? What will we do as a manual pen tester? And what could we do what could we take from that and put it into the pipeline? So we spend a lot of our time on the security research side of things, right? We're looking for the next vulnerabilities that come out. We're looking for, we're subscribed to Reddit and, all of these other different, feeds where security researchers kind of post content. And so for us, what we're constantly doing is just stand on the forefront of what's new coming out, what new exploits, what are new tools that we're seeing being published, and how can we make our workflow a lot better, right? So a lot of times that's us developing our own tools, or we see something new comes out, right, that combines 2 or 3 tools, and it's more efficient, more scalable, things like that. That we'll kind of get that into the pipeline. So we spend a lot of time really just kind of keeping our eyes out in the industry to see what's coming out and how we could improve the product and the workflow of the process to provide more value to the partners.
Amazing. Is there also, and I don't know if you delve into it much, but the awareness, cybersecurity awareness and training aspect, or do you just focus more on the automated tool and reporting aspect?
Yeah, we did actually. This is like my very first few days of Vonahi. I tried to get a little bit into the social engineering stuff, but there's just a lot of competition out there and just a lot of free courses and content and stuff like that and training. So we do offer some of those services, right? But we heavily focus on the automated network pen testing because, we're seeing a huge shift in the demand for penetration testing, especially when it comes to cyber insurance. And so we're really focusing on bringing that to, to the market and making sure that everybody has the ability to perform that test rather than having to spend all of their budget on a pen test from a traditional company.
I love how you just brought up a keyword. I am noticing with a lot of the MSPs we deal with right now that a big topic is the cyber insurance. In fact, general insurance policies being able to be renewed by an organization, whether they're talking to a broker or whatever company. There's a compliance aspect now, and I'm guessing you play into that extremely well to help organizations satisfy the requirements in order to be able to renew their annual insurance policy.
Yep, exactly. And it's literally perfect timing for us too, right? Because before we were just, PCI, HIPAA, right? Pen test requirements, things like that, yearly assessments. But now with cyber insurance companies requiring that, and even from small businesses, I can imagine that it's extremely difficult for small businesses who never used to do pen testing before because they didn't have to meet certain, compliance requirements, but now having to because of cyber insurance. I can't imagine that, they would have to go to traditional companies and pay tens of thousands of dollars for a pen test that should technically cost maybe, $1 or $2 grand, right? Depending on the scope. So, for us, it's literally perfect timing because we have a price point that's very, reasonable for MSPs and smaller clients, and being able to accomplish the same results. So it's perfect timing. It really is.
That's amazing. I'm actually wondering how many people are using your service but still charging traditional rates.
Yeah, yeah. We try to work with our partners to offer it at a more affordable price, but I mean you can't force, right? But because we're trying to drive more people to do more testing with because it's more affordable. But unfortunately there's just always going to be that other batch that they're like, oh wow, it's time to capitalize on this opportunity. So but yeah.
Too bad you can't get a cut of that.
Yeah, no, right.
So,
Exactly.
what do you feel? This is how I like to wrap up a lot of my podcasts, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot. But what's a single power tip or a piece of advice or something that you'd want to give to people as a takeaway? As you know, well, it could be anything. It could be related to cybersecurity, could be related to pen testing, could be related to insurance, but some kind of tip that you think people should do, something that everybody should do.
Yeah. I hate to drive this back to the product, but I definitely think that we're in a time right now to where, having to meet cyber insurance and stuff like that is becoming a big part of like our yearly requirements and stuff like that. So I would definitely just, vet out the companies. We're also in a phase of where like automated pen testing is kind of people are kind of like, well, is that really true? Or is that really a thing? And we do offer proof of concepts, trials and stuff like that. So I would definitely encourage, to take a look at that. But yeah, no, definitely check out the platform, and, we'd love to help out in any possible way.
Excellent. So what does a person do? They go to your website, they sign up for a trial account. Is there any restrictions on the trial account or a time period or number of IP addresses? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. So basically, if they go to www.vonahi, that's vonahi.io, you can sign up for a trial, do a free proof of concept. You can do the trial whenever you want, right? You can sign up today and not do the trial for another 6 months. It's just kind of up to you. The only limitation is really the IP addresses, right? So we do limit the IPs to roughly 25 IP addresses. Sometimes it goes a little bit over, no big deal, but just to kind of let people understand, that this is a penetration testing platform, and just to kind of get the feel of like how the process works. But they can definitely sign up and do that for free.
That is amazing. Well, thank you very much once again for joining. I mean, this is extremely valuable information, and it's becoming so important that every single organization needs to be doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate the opportunity as well.
Great. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the MSP Stack Podcast. Remember, if you liked it, hit thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit thumbs down twice. If you'd like to be on the show, head on over to the MSPstack.com and click on the Be a Guest button. The Stack is made possible through the generous support of MSP Corp. What's in your stack?